Probably of all the things that I can think of, God almighty, I'll miss the opportunity to chase all my friends from films away from the yellow border every week.
I think that if you are a fan of the NFL, you knew who Val Pinchbeck was.
The original scheduling czar.
I honestly don't know how Val did it.
Val would make the schedule by hand, one game at a time, and he would sit there with his great big belly and he'd eat macadamia nuts. And he'd stare at the board for seemingly hours on end, and then he'd get struck by inspiration. He'd stand up and he'd go to the board and he'd put Baltimore, Jacksonville here, Seattle, St. Louis here. And then he'd sit back down in his chair and he'd lean back and he'd start in again on the macadamia nuts. So 288 individual decisions, one at a time. He just went by his gut. He went on feel.
How do we take those numbers and figure out how to put them on the board and get to a finished schedule with the lowest possible score?
The answer is somewhere up there.
Yeah.
So it's 4 of us working on 84 computers, doing it for 3 months, trying to find the best total television schedule while not compromising on the teams.
Making the NFL schedule, it's art and it's science, right? The science is the computers and how they solve the problem. The art is that human element.
We are talking about hundreds and hundreds of trillions of possible schedules each year, and we're looking for the one.
And the whole computer software is structured to look like the pegboard that Val came up with.
And we called it a Valgorithm.
Every schedule we look at has a touch of Val to it because of that visualization.
And the computer tries to look at each game and decide the most mathematically optimal decision to make at each step in the process. Val would have to do that by hand, in his head. The computer's doing it thousands and thousands and thousands of times over in real time.
From a competitive side, we're always concerned about the sequencing of home and away games.
We know going into that room that we're not going to make everybody happy.
If I'm Buffalo and I'm trying to sell games in December, who are the opponents? Because it's going to be very, very cold out here and we're asking our fans to come out for those games.
And truth be told, we're unlikely to make anybody happy.
And sometimes you come out of there, you're physically exhausted. And yet there's a sense of, wow, that's pretty cool that we pulled that off.
Val did it by hand. It's pretty amazing when you think about what he was able to accomplish without any computers, without a whole lot of help, just with a big pile of macadamia nuts.